chaos, defiance, and a shift in global rules. Tonight we look at where the world's power is being asserted, from the streets of Lima to the boardrooms of AI giants. The front lines are everywhere, and tonight's headlines matter because they show us who is drawing the battle lines and what is at stake. This is the Global News Update on top Accolade News. The headlines. Peru's interim leader declares state of emergency. ICE raid in Chinatown triggers New York protest. Trump renews pressure on India over Russian crude. Kosovo agrees to aid UK in deporting rejected asylum seekers. We'll begin in South America. Peru's interim President Jose Jeri declared a 30-day state of emergency in Lima and Callao, starting on Wednesday, authorizing military patrols and curbs on public gatherings after weeks of anti-government protests and a surge in violent crime. The move follows an impeachment of the former president accused of corruption and failing to control organized crime, while moving from the defensive to the offensive, Jeri vowed in a televised address.
Patriotas. Fellow citizens, crime has grown excessively in recent years, causing enormous pain to thousands of families and also harming the country's progress. But this is over. Today we begin to change history in the fight against insecurity in Peru.
In a country weary of chaos, Peru's streets have become both its battleground and its barometer of hope. From Lima to Manhattan, the clash of authority and community continues. A federal operation in New York City's Chinatown aimed at cracking down on alleged criminal activity linked to counterfeit goods turned chaotic on Friday as protesters clashed with immigration and customs enforcement agents. Between 15 and 40 vendors were arrested, and at least 2 protesters were detained for obstructing enforcement efforts. City officials distanced themselves from the operation, emphasizing that local authorities do not cooperate with federal civil immigration actions. Critics condemned the raid as excessive, militarized, and targeting immigrant vendors rather than actual threats. On the international stage, economic diplomacy is testing alliances. US President Donald Trump said Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi assured him that India would reduce its purchase of Russian crude, aligning with efforts to end the Russian-Ukraine war. India has neither confirmed nor denied Trump's claim, maintaining energy deals are vital for its citizens. As Washington pressures Delhi with tariff and diplomacy, the world watches a delicate balancing act between power, principle, and petroleum. Across the Atlantic, immigration policy is making history. Kosovo has become the first country to signal readiness to accept the UK's rejected asylum seekers on the plans for overseas return hubs. Prime Minister Albin Kurti confirmed ahead of the London summit of Western Balkan leaders, while neighbors like Albania and Bosnia rejected the idea. Kurti said Kosovo feels a duty to help the UK in return for past support. Critics, however, says Britain's search for countries to house deportees shows it has entered a very dark place. You're watching the Global News Update on Top Accolade News. Do stay with us. Still to come. Thanks for staying with us. To a humanitarian policy shift, Thailand has become the first country in Asia to allow refugees to work legally, granting more than 87,000 Myanmar refugees the right to seek employment outside camps after decades of aid dependency. The move aimed to address shrinking foreign aid, labor shortages, and humanitarian concern. UNHCR hailed the decision as a turning point, calling it a model for regional refugee policy. For thousands who have lived behind fences for 40 years, Thailand's new law opens the gate, not to exile, but to dignity. Back in Europe, conflict reminds us how fragile peace remains. Overnight Russian missiles and drone attacks on Kyiv and several Ukrainian cities killed 6 people, including 2 children and damaged homes and energy facilities, authorities said on Wednesday. Fires engulfed residential blocks and rescuers pulled dozens from the rubble. Ukraine retaliated with British and French-supplied Storm Shadow missiles striking a chemical plant in Russia. As diplomacy stalls and the skies burn, Ukraine's resilience remains its loudest reply. Switching gears to culture, acclaimed author Sir Philip Pullman has called on the UK government to change copyright laws to prevent AI companies from using writers' books without compensation, a practice known as scrapping. Pullman criticized the current system as immoral but unfortunately not illegal, joining other authors in warning that such practices could harm creativity. He stressed that authors should be paid if their work is used to train AI and urged lawmakers to act immediately. He described AI scrapping as a wicked system and likened it to a trawler destroying everything in its path. And finally, in sports, Arsenal delivered a commanding 4-0 victory over Atletico Madrid at the Emirates Stadium on Tuesday, securing their third consecutive Champions League win. The home side opened the score's crumble. The win extended Arsenal's unbeaten run to 9 games across all competitions, placing them atop the group with 9 points, while Atletico Madrid's 6-game unbeaten streak ended. The emphatic victory underlines Arsenal's growing confidence on Europe's biggest stage. From streets filled with protests to skies scarred by missiles, from economic negotiations to cultural battles and triumph on the sport field, tonight's headlines show one truth: the world never waits, and neither should our vigilance, compassion, or ambition. For Top Accolade News, I'm Romeo Kocha. Do have a wonderful day and keep watching the global news updates on Top Accolade News.